format in this new year sees new fortunes turned for Australia. They've started this ODI series exactly like how they started the T20Is. A win over India, much changed Australian side that won what you think was now an important toss at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Aaron Finn chose to bat. The team batting first has won 4 out of the last 5, make that 5 out of the last 6. But they put 288 on the board, half centuries from Peter Handscomb, Usman Khwaja and Sean Marsh. The only spinner India played, picking up 2 for 54. In response, Rohit Sharma with his 22nd ODI ton but fell out of partners and ran out of support. What an impressive game for Jai Richardson, 4 for 26, a young, relatively inexperienced bowling lineup for Australia, ensuring that 288 would be 34 too many. This is ESPN Cricket Info Matchday presented by Maruti Suzuki. Ajit Agarkar in studio with me and Brad Hodge in Australia, who knew that these runs would always be enough at halftime.
Did I think they were going to be enough? I thought they were about 30, 40 short actually. So, going on the history of the SCG where the average score in the last 5 games was 327, I thought Australia were about 40, 50 short actually. But, fair credit to them. Luckily they got the Indians 3 for 4 and that was a good start. But Rohit Sharma, what a player. Amazing.
There is little that we'll say about Rohit Sharma that we may not have said before, but all the more impressive if Hodgie believes they were still a few short. We've seen India chase very good attacks, 320, 330, muscle them down with relative ease. But this was always the nightmare, wasn't it, Ajit? The fear for an Indian fan. 2 out of the top 3 going early, and there is certainly a chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's a familiar story. You get 2 out of 3 out, and in spite of Rohit getting that incredible 100 and a fairly big one, 130 odd, you still don't have the middle order to get you home, unfortunately. I mean, okay, it's only one game at this point in the series, but bulk of the runs have been scored by the top 3, and that has always sort of shielded the middle order, if you like, which again got shown out a little bit. Maybe there is some personnel that India needs to look at, whether that's the right 4, 5, 6 that they have at the moment, and maybe one game not the time to judge it, but these guys are all 3 guys have been around for a while, so that it's always a worry. I think the top 3 have carried India for way too long.
Sure.
That the middle orders maybe not had enough of a say in winning games.
Yes, you speak of course of Raidu, MS Dhoni, Dinesh Karthik. That's the situation where that's that part of the batting order that you would have liked in the absence of 2 out of the top 3 getting on to at least get India close enough. But let's come to that a little later. Let's first talk about Australia's bowlers, because not too many bowling attacks, Hodgie, have managed to get India's top 2 out quickly. They had 3 out very quickly, and between the 2 of them, Behrendorff and Jai Richardson, 20 overs, 6 for 55. That's essentially your game there.
Oh, they were great. And look, this is where questions come into the fray when you think of resting Stark, Hazlewood and Cummings. Well, we've got a lot of guys in the wings actually who are ready to step up for international cricket. So Richardson, you've seen, was outstanding. Behrendorff, we know, is dangerous for the new ball. Coulter Knowles also there. Peter Siddle's come back. We've also got Chris Tremaine. There's a lot of options for our bowling stock to actually be really strong. So it was more riding on our batting, and I think they delivered well to give our bowlers an opportunity. But Jai Richardson, what an exciting effort to come in and deliver like that against the top quality batting lineup is outstanding.
Yeah, 6 for 65, I stand corrected, with 4 maidens in that against a formidable top order. We thought it may not be the easiest pitch to bowl on in the first innings from what we saw, but just assessment of how they bowled.
Maybe there was a little bit more swing this afternoon or late afternoon, but just really good Australia. Straight, full at times, lots of control at the stumps a lot. You saw, I mean, there were a couple which went past the outside edge when there was a little bit of movement from Richardson. Just very impressive for a 22-year-old. That's a formidable batting lineup to bowl at, and not a lot in the pitch. So I think the credits to Australia. They needed those 2 wickets out of the top 3, and then they created that. Even Virat Kohli, you could argue maybe he hit it well, it went to the fielder, but till then they had not let Virat Kohli get away with the few balls that he'd batted. So and Shikhar Dhawan, I don't know how much cricket he's had coming into this in this one-day game. He hasn't been playing any domestic cricket in India, so maybe a little bit lax, but full ball first up, hitting the stumps. That's what you want to do as a
perfect ball.
Yeah, Behrendorff was impressive when he played that T20 game in India. You always look like he's someone who can get you wickets early on with the new ball. Proved it again.
Did you as a whole see a little bit of rust from this Indian team? Did you see a little bit of either lack of cricket for some or maybe a bit of a hangover after the high of the Test series win?
Maybe it's with the guys who were there for the Test series, but I don't think so. I mean, Virat Kohli did look switched on. It's one of those things where he flicked and it's gone straight to the fielder.
I speak more on, there's
Yeah,
Bhuvneshwar Kumar with the ball.
Bhuvi's been
Dhoni
with the team. I think it's more Raidu, Dhoni, Dhawan. I don't know how much cricket they've had over the last couple of months since the last time they played one-day cricket. Be interesting to find out if they have had any cricket, if at all. So, and sometimes there's no substitute for having game time. Doesn't matter how experienced you are. Takes you a little bit of time, especially when the bowling's on top. And Australia were, most of that innings, barring some great batting by Rohit. Australia bowled really well and exactly what that pitch needed.
Well, I had the privilege of one of those many Twitter arguments that I tend to get into and get myself into trouble, Haji. But let me take the conversation into detail with both you and Ajit. After India were 3 down very early, 137 the partnership between Rohit Sharma and MS Dhoni of 172 balls, 75 of 76 from Rohit Sharma in that partnership, 51 of 96 by MS Dhoni. Now, India seems to be divided to some degree as to what MS Dhoni's position, role should be in this ODI setup, given the ability that he now has as against perhaps what we get carried away with what he once had. Your assessment objectively of how Dhoni played today?
Well, I'm pretty sure that he wasn't ready to get in there at 3 for 4. I certainly didn't think that he was expecting to get in that early. But a good observation is that this is Australia's. It's our home ground advantage. So it's not surprising that apart from Rohit, who's been here for 2 months already, and Virat Kohli, the rest struggled. And that's what it's all about. That's what home ground advantage is about. And whether you've had enough cricket or not, to come in and be successful straight away, we saw Shikhar Dhawan out early, Raidu, Karthik, Dhoni, all the guys that have not been here and playing the Test series struggled early. And it takes time. It really does take, it's hard to win away from home. So, that's one thing. I thought that they got themselves in a position to win the game. But, that MSD one's probably it's a conundrum where if he came in with 10 runs and over to get at the back end, he probably would have done it. But 10 runs and over out from ball one, it's a tough assignment for anyone. It doesn't matter whether you're a superstar like MSD or Rohit Sharma. It was a huge mountain to climb, and whenever you get a side 3 for 4, it doesn't matter who you are, you're probably going to lose the game.
Sure. That point taken. Fact is, Rohit Sharma still did go on to bat deep into that innings, and we have seen MS Dhoni struggle with those situations as well of late. 10 and over of the last few. We think sometimes that the tailor-made chase for him is when the required rate isn't much. But given the facts of this chase, he did well to sort of see out a tough phase when he came in. And in his defense, we must say he got a bad one when he was eventually dismissed. But would you have liked to see more in that innings from Dhoni?
Yeah, I mean, tough situation to come in at 3 down, but 4 on the board. But once you could argue the first 25-30 balls fine. You've not been here, but once you're set, I mean, Rohit can't get 280 by himself.
Sure.
There has to be support from the other end, and not someone who's striking at 50. The strike rate of 50 when he finishes after 100 balls. 100 balls is a lot of balls in one-day cricket. You can argue the first few balls, the pressure's on, you don't want to throw your wicket and you play yourself in. But eventually you've got to do what the team requires you to do, and if you're not doing it, then you've got to worry whether the person's good enough to do it or not. I mean, unfortunately, today, after he was set, I mean, he's got a 50. No one likes to get out. And okay, got one of those ones which are bad one, but even then it was 50 of almost 100 balls. I mean, that wasn't helping Rohit at the other end. He was constantly under pressure to hit a boundary.
Like I said, you've got Rohit going 75 of 76 in
to
that
find
same
a boundary.
partnership.
And once you bat it for that long, okay, people will, or Dhoni fans will argue he got a rough one and otherwise you'd have got carried on and won India game, but it didn't look like at that stage. I mean, it looked like Rohit was doing bulk of the work. And again, it's not just him. I think the middle order, once the top order's not done, or a couple of them are out of the 3, the middle orders usually struggle to win India games unless Rohit smashes a 170, 180 or Virat Kohli gets them home at the end. It has been the story, and it is the truth at the moment that the top three have to get the job done. Otherwise, India struggles to win games chasing.
The thing is that this isn't a new argument or conversation that we're having, and you would think that India would take some time to either see if there's someone more suited to that role, but they've left Rishabh Pant out of the squad. They're choosing to play Dinesh Karthik ahead of Kedar Jadhav. Would you like to see a different approach?
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, Dinesh Karthik, I'm not quite sure how he's come back in the one-day team, because he wasn't in the previous series, and Rishabh Pant's not really done anything wrong to be out of that series. He batted twice when India were going for quick runs, got 24 of 16 or 17 balls, and another 17 or 20. 17, batted twice and he's out. So if you are including another wicketkeeper, I can't imagine at this point in their careers Dinesh Karthik is a better player than Rishabh Pant. It's unless there's some other reason which we don't know, but it can't be, because he's part of the T20 squad in New Zealand. So yeah, or if they're not, they want to look at somebody else, then they should include a specialist batsman, someone like a Kedar Jadhav who's part of the squad. Okay, Rahul's gone back, or Hardik Pandya going back obviously has left a bit of a void. But then look at another batter, because I mean, at least in my opinion, I don't think Dinesh Karthik should be batting in that middle order in one-day cricket.
Okay, nowhere am I naive enough to suggest that had India had Rishabh Pant and some of the others, they would have won this game, Ajit. But given what you've seen of him and the time that he's had in Australia with the tests, the kind of player that you've seen enough of in white ball cricket, in the IPL and otherwise, would he have given India a better chance to have that kind of player in that situation, or is that just hard to tell?
Well, I would have thought he's first picked, actually. The excitement machine that he is, he probably would have, it's not guaranteed with youth. Experience is far more reliable than the youth. But when you come to Australia and play so successfully with the bat, we saw how that rolled on from Rohit Sharma. Even though he missed, a couple of test matches, he's been here for a long period of time. So to be successful on these wickets and adjust is quite easy. So Rishabh Pant was obviously in great form. I would have thought the selection committee may have taken that form into consideration into the one-day series, but it's that conundrum, isn't it, where you choose between the legend and an up-and-coming star. So that's where it lies. It's a tough one, and MS Dhoni is a great player. There's no doubt. So it's probably an argument versus Karthik versus Rishabh Pant or Kedar Jadhav in that middle order, which Ajit's talking about. But yeah, look, I think that Dhoni probably just took. He needed some time in the middle, and coming in at 3 for 4 was not ideal, and he probably needed that time to get himself in. So granted, you can't blame the top order for getting out in the middle order, but it's something which. When you lose wickets at the top, generally you're going to lose games. But Rishabh Pant, I think maybe someone that might come into consideration in the short future for sure.
I mean, India wouldn't want to lose the game. I don't think it's the worst thing for India to happen, that maybe the couple of those top three get out and maybe see where this middle order is at when there is a reasonable score to chase. And today again, they've, Rohit Sharma almost single-handedly had to get them home. Otherwise, India would have lost by a bigger margin.
Rather now than in a crunch World Cup game. I get your point, because when these guys have had a bat, it's been when Virat Kohli's either been rested or when the Asia Cup, where there's been a different team. So this is full strength India. And
enough one days to then gauge whether these guys are the ones who should be batting in the middle order. It doesn't matter how great you've been or not.
Okay, that's all that we'll discuss for the middle order just after one game. We'll give it more time, and I'm quite certain we've not heard the end of this discussion of India's middle order spots. But I come back to how good Australia's seamers were. And before we take the fan questions, just a quick word from both Ajit and Haji to how they got it right first up. You're looking at Shikhar Dhawan, got a good one first up. Ambati Rayudu early in his innings, very good one to get him out leg before. Just two inexperienced bowlers bowling with a plan, bowling very well. Out bowling perhaps the test bowlers in the same ground last week.
Much quicker than a Khalil and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, who started with the new ball for India. The ball skid through a little bit. I mean, full tall guy bend off to Shikhar Dhawan, just the ideal ball to bowl. First up when the batsman's not set, played across it, and Richardson again, just really impressive. I mean, I hadn't seen much of him before this game. Just the control, even towards the end of that innings, just so sure what ball he needs to bowl, even when Rohit was trying to get after him. Whether it was a slow ball, whether it was Yorker, sometimes a good length ball. could execute it under pressure, which is such a positive against a good batting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, for all that we're talking about Australia and the negative, and you said that negativity seems to surround this Australian team, Haji, this would give a lot of Australian fans some hope. Without Stark, without Hazelwood, without Cummins, two young kids step up and break the back of arguably the strongest batting unit in the world.
Well, I mean, they were outstanding, and that's the, I guess that's the conundrum when you rest people, that actually people come through and show you what skills they have. So is rest actually the value? And now these two are actually putting pressure on the top three. So when you come down the selection table, you know, who's more valuable? I no doubt the Stark, Hazelwood and Cummings are legendary, but Berendorf, Richardson, Coulter-Nile, you know, they've got some serious attributes to their skills. So we could certainly press hard in this area, but yeah, hats off. They just bore the recipe of success in Test cricket and challenged the stumps of the Indians, pitched it up. If it was going to swing, it swung, and you know, they were fast, they were aggressive, like every young kid should be. So, no, they were fantastic.
Okay, let's invite your questions now. I'm sure you've been waiting carefully and listening to both Brad Hodge and Ajit Agarkar dissect this games. Good times are back, albeit for now, for Australian cricket, and after this first game, and the same questions remain on India. So let's see what the questions that are coming from you. Hari Krishnan, Ambati Rayudu, perfect number 4, the overseas. One innings tends to change our opinions here and there.
Virat Kohli said he's secured his spot before the series. In my opinion, I'm not so sure, but one inning cannot decide that. I mean, he got a good ball first up, full ball. You know, there are a few games, 3 games in this series, 5 in New Zealand. I think you've got to give him enough opportunity to see whether he's the guy you're going to go to, because before this he's had a good series in India. So, I mean, there's no reason why he can't do it overseas. He's experienced enough. Shouldn't decide in one game. But like I said, in my opinion, I don't think it should be decided either that he's your number 4 yet.
Okay, more questions coming from YouTube Live. So questions will remain. There's a significant amount of ODI cricket for India to take those decisions. Kanish Jory for Brad Hodge. Who are Australia's fast bowlers in the World Cup squad? Right, let's put you on the spot. Let's say the World Cup was tomorrow. Who would you take to the World Cup?
I'm not a selector, buddy. That's the one thing. I don't get paid enough to give my opinion on selections. Look, that's the interesting thing. I mean, we know that Stark is under pressure. Hazelwood's been under pressure since, and we don't actually get to see their white ball game when they're rested. So at the moment, for me, Stark, Hazelwood and Cummings get the opportunity. Along with Adam Zampa and Marcus Stoinis. I'm not sure there's a case for Nathan Lyon in that lineup. But, you know, if Jai Richardson and Berendorf continue to push and we don't see white ball cricket from Stark, Hazelwood and Cummings, how do we judge? That's the problem with resting people. Absolutely. So, you know, these guys, if they get 10 opportunities to overtake them, then they start the lineup in the World Cup for sure.
It may not pay you enough for selection calls, Haji, but you're worth every bit of the money we pay you for these fine opinions that you get us. Well done. Let's take some more questions coming Ajit and Brad's way on this post-show on ESPN Cricket for Matchday. Sarvesh Bajaj. Rane was removed on the pretext by Dhoni that he consumes too many dot balls. That's an assessment, and is not unable to rotate the strike. Any comments on this? The irony being pointed out by Sarvesh. I'm not sure of that. If that was ever said by
I don't think he sort of lost his spot under MS. I think he played the series when Australia came to India.
He played in South Africa at number 4.
Yeah, he played. He opened in India when I think one of the openers was missing, either Rohit or Shikhar, and got those 450s in 5 games. But again, my opinion is he's more suited to the top order, and at this point, I don't think you can displace Rohit or Shikhar. I can't imagine Ajinkya coming at number 4. And batting at that spot. He hasn't shown enough at that spot. All his majority of his good runs in one-day cricket have come at the top of the orders, which is at the moment. Yeah, I mean, there's KL Rahul, who's supposed to be the third opener, who hasn't got too many runs. Perhaps there's a spot there for him, but middle order, I'm not so sure.
I'd be damned if I thought that he was asking if one more player who doesn't rotate the strike should come in. I think the irony on MS Dhoni consuming delivery seems to be the crux of your question, but I'm not sure. Like Ajit rightly points out, that it was under Dhoni that Rahane lost his place in the team. He did play even in South Africa as the number 4 batsman last year in the ODI series. Let's take one more question, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of time to keep taking questions through the course of this series. Khan Irfan, Should Australia replace Siddle in line with Billy Stanley and Adam Zampa? It's a good question going into Adelaide, Brad Hodge.
Yeah, I definitely think that Adam Zampa should come into the mix. I think he's done an outstanding job for Australia all through one-day international cricket. Just that he seems to be the first person that gets left out for some reason. I think he's an outstanding performer with the wide ball. Billy Stanlake's been a fraction off the pace actually in T20 cricket for Adelaide Strikers. So not sure if he should come straight in. I'd like to see one of the big three come back in, Stark, Hazelwood and Cummings, and help out these youngsters of Richardson and Berendorf and see how that mix works. And can that be the future of our bowling lineup? That's what I'd like to see. I mean, how long do you have to rest for? Mohammad Shami did a pretty good job today.
Yeah, I think a lot. I think most of them aren't playing the IPL either. So there's enough rest there before the World Cup. Yeah, I kind of agree with Hodgie because.
Well, we've had 8 months off, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, like we've actually. I'm not sure why you rest. The last game we played was in Cape Town, which was 8 months ago or 7 months ago. Yeah. So what are we resting for? We need to actually have a victory. So we need to find out the best combinations of, what works. Stark, Hazelwood, Cummings, Stark, Berendorf, Richardson. They're the things that we sort of need to work out for our bowling unit, I reckon, to win the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want consistency going into the World Cup. You should know who your best 11, 12, 13 guys are. Yeah, sometimes rest is a bit overrated.
Even for a fast bowler.
Yeah, I mean,
or especially for a
okay, unless someone's carrying a niggle or an injury. Like he said, they've had 8 months off. I mean, how much time do you need off? Sometimes playing is the best thing to do, unless you're carrying some sort of niggle.
Okay, quick look at one final question that we'll take on ESPN Cricket for Match Day. From Facebook, from Jiten, even if it is more subconscious rather than intentional, just a slight drop in intensity from India after the Test series, and has that resulted in a bad day at the office? Did you see the intensity?
They were a little bit sloppy. I don't think there was a real drop in intensity. A little bit sloppy in the field maybe, but there are lots of new guys coming in, must have arrived 3 or 4 days. Shouldn't be an excuse. Sure. Should be ready to play this one-day series. I don't know, maybe some of the Test guys, it's been a hard-fought 4-game series, but no, I don't think I think Australia were better on the day. They executed better. They batted better with the pressure that they were under. Their batting posted a score and the bowlers were exceptional.
All right. Okay, let's move forward. Our game that we play with Brad Hodge and Ajit Agarkar, Fab 4. They pick 4 players. Depending on how they do, they get points. Those players 4 are experts in a fantasy system. Brad Hodge, let's have a look at your picks. Virat Kohli hasn't got either of our experts too many points. Neither has Mohammad Shami, who only gets some points as a result of a catch that he took in the first innings. Aaron Finch, not too many, but Peter Hanscom does well to get you just over the 100 mark. Maybe you'll have a little more faith in the Aussie bowlers next game, Hodgie?
Not my best day at the office, I must say. So, I mean, anyone can get a good one early. Look at Raju. Full and straight, you miss it. What can happen?
Yeah, it may still be a better day than you. Let me have a look. Have you won? Have you lost? Let's have a quick look. Because it'll be close. You picked 2 of the same. Oh, you've done well.
Is that close? That's not close.
I forgot you picked Jason Berendorf.
And Usman Khwaja got me a catch as well.
Got you a nice
wasn't there a catch there?
There was a catch. There was one he dropped, which he got minus for that.
Oh, really?
Is that the first one Ajit's won through the whole summer?
Excellent question.
I haven't been here, Ajit.
The 2 tests where you were here? I think so.
No, Ajit, you finished second
second
place in the
both times.
And second. So well done, Ajit. You're keeping track of Ajit's overall series record. Well
but
done,
wasn't Hodgie third in that one, which I was part of that test? Or did he finish top? Lakshman lost it.
Oh, go on, Hodgie. Yeah, Hodgie won the first one.
Oh.
He won a signed book by VVS. We haven't sent that yet, I think.
Ajit, it's the only thing the Australians have won all summer so far. So I want a book, and now we've won a one international, so it's cool.
Yeah, and tonight was good.
Very well. That's where we have a wrap. Thank you, Ajit Agarkar and Bradley Hodge. Get your thoughts ahead of the second ODI. Join us then for ESPN Cricket for Matchday presented by Maruti Suzuki. Do download the ESPN Cricket for mobile app too. And as we leave you for one last time in Sydney on this wonderful tour that India have had of Australia, it's time once again for Shibani Dandekar to take us around the lovely sights and sounds of Sydney as part of ESPN Cricket for Undiscover Australia presented by Tourism Australia.
It's my last day in Sydney and Ed Cowan has promised me a treat before I leave.
So Shabani, this is the suburb I live in and it's just up the hill from the SCG.
Okay.
The suburb of Paddington that's known for amazing cafes, great pubs that have been renovated that were, you know, Federation pubs, amazing little terrace houses. It's an old part of Sydney, but it's been sort of gentrified over the last 30 years.
Yeah, and I love that. Even when I lived in Sydney, I feel like Paddington was one of the cooler areas, and that's pretty much stayed the same over time. Do you recommend walking in and having a little shop here and there?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Looking good.
What colour?
I like the blue, but I think you're leaning towards the green.
Right, you are. Amazing.
I said, hey, there's a nice little cafe up on Oxford Street. Next minute, she's shopping. So you've done your shopping.
Done my
You
shopping.
just ducked in, I'm starving. And one of my favourite cafes, I bring my little girl here the whole time, she loves it, is Mickey's.
Vicky,
Literally, you want anything in the world, they have it. I know what I'm having already.
do you? What are you getting?
I think it's hard to look past the chicken schnitzel. Comes with like this amazing mash, bit of salad.
Is it like a Parmigiano type vibe?
You can have Parmigiana.
Yeah, I want that.
Okay,
I want that.
amazing.
Oh my god. Ooh. Ooh.
You want some chili sauce? This is a good schnitzel though. That's why I come here.
I'm assuming the blue straw is for you.
I wanted the pink one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Blue is my favorite color.
Pink's my favourite colour.
Changing the world, Ed.
Exactly.
I can barely move after that massive meal, but I'll see you all in Adelaide for the next match.